Bitcoin can do much better. The only headwind is going to be regulatory policy making. That will be the biggest thing that adds to the daily volatility to it. So otherwise, I think that Bitcoin has a greater chance of outperforming gold.
Chief Executive Officer of U.S. Global Investors, Frank Holmes, has predicted that Bitcoin will have a better year than gold. In an interview, Holmes shares his thoughts on many issues, including the political and economic crises that are brewing in Africa and South America. He also talks about his beliefs that metals like silver, lithium, and cobalt will become even more valuable now that the world is trying to convert to green energy. On gold and Bitcoin, Holmes believes that Bitcoin is a big threat to gold. He explains that the reason for this is because of the category of people that invest in and trade Bitcoin. He explains that millennials and younger age demographics are rallying around Bitcoin, while baby boomers like himself prefer gold. The first category of people has a high tolerance for Bitcoin's high volatility and would be patient enough to reap the returns that come with such high volatility. As a result, Holmes believes that Bitcoin will do better than gold in 2022. Welcome to Savvy Finance, a channel dedicated to bringing you regular updates on cryptocurrencies. We bring you everything from predictions to important market movements that may help you make better investments decisions. Ensure you subscribe to the channel and turn on post notifications so you never miss any of our detailed videos. You can also like the video and share your observations in the comments section below. Frank Holmes is the Chief Executive and Chief Investment Officer at U.S. Global Investors, a leading mutual fund and asset management firm. He is also the Executive Chairman of Hive Blockchain Technologies, a crypto mining firm. Holmes is renowned for his mixed investment portfolio and remains one of the leading investors that invests in both cryptocurrencies and gold. In his interview, Holmes talks about the growing popularity of precious metals like silver, lithium, and cobalt in the investment world. He explains that as the world continues the transition to green energy, these metals will become highly profitable to invest in.
So you just sit there and say, okay, what commodities do you need to rebuild this economy to deal with the concerns of climate change? And you need silver for solar panels. You need copper for everything, lithium, so cobalt. So I'm really staying very bullish on a lot of these commodities, but these imbalances.
When asked about the reason for the poor performance of gold and silver in the past year, Holmes declares that the member states of G7 have formed a cartel, and they use futures markets to regulate the market as they wish. He cites the example of the 15% flat tax for corporations to back a theory he has previously shared. This cartel, Holmes states, makes various forms of monetary policies, many of which will not be favorable to anyone in the long term. For example, the United States government has been printing more money to take care of its needs. However, over time, as inflation rises, there has been a need to print even more money. Holmes points out that the U.S. federal balance sheet has risen to the tune of $8 trillion, much more than the government had needed in the past.
There is this concern of suppression by the G7 countries. And there's concern, I've mentioned before in your program, of operating like a cartel. And people laughed at that when I try to suggest that it appears this way. Well, when they came out, the U.S. this past year, and came out with a flat tax with the G7 countries of 15% for corporations, well, that means there is a cartel. And those central banks are working together to print all this money with MMT as the theory, modern monetary theory, to keep the economies going. So the thought process are we can raise regulations as long as we keep printing a lot of money. We can raise taxes as long as we keep printing a lot of money. What happens on that uptick is always trillions more each time there's a problem. Before they fix it with $2 trillion, it's now $8 trillion. Now for the U.S., it's an $8 trillion balance sheet the Fed has to deal with. So there are real important, we believe at U.S. Global, policies, government policies are a precursor to change. And we're always looking, David, for the imbalance between the monetary and fiscal policies. And we're seeing this excessive money printing. I think that there is some type of a suppression in the futures market or something with this gold. It's because I've never seen before such negative real interest rates, and real estate jumps 23%. Art jumps 25%. Used cars jump 35%. Used cars, housing, replacement of housing. My insurance, my D&O insurance goes up 25%. My healthcare insurance went up 23% for my employees. So you say there's only inflation? this is BS. This inflation is greatly understated. And so the only way to hide all of that is to say, well, inflation's lower because the factors that create that. And I've told you before that if you use the 1980 factor model that says what CPI is, if you use that today, inflation's 14%.
Most shocking is Frank Holmes' statement that the rate of inflation in the U.S. is up by 14%, a far cry from the 6.8% many other sources are calling. Since the introduction of the Consumer Price Index, the highest inflation rate observed was 19.66 in 1917. This leaves one wondering if there is much more going on behind closed doors to spur the sudden increase in goods and services. Holmes also talks about the future of gold and Bitcoin. He explains that Bitcoin will have a better year than gold if governments do not find a way to mess it up with their regulations.
What is Frank Holmes' outlook for Bitcoin and gold? Which assets will perform the best? In other words, do you think gold will do better or Bitcoin will do better in 2022?
I think Bitcoin can do much better. The only headwind is going to be regulatory policy making. That will be the biggest thing that adds to the daily volatility to it. So otherwise, I think that Bitcoin has a greater chance of outperforming gold. But I don't, and so what we're seeing now is that all the crypto mining companies are moving up and down by the minute with Bitcoin, Ethereum price action, the way that gold stocks move up and down with gold. So the quant funds are no doubt using, in particular, high blockchain as a proxy. And I'm just really focused what we're doing in Quebec and in New Brunswick and Sweden and Iceland is green energy only, producing mining and both Bitcoin and Ethereum and holding every coin we can. And so far it's paid off that we're still the most profitable crypto mining company.
Holmes predicts new all-time high for Bitcoin. Now to our favorite part of the interview, Holmes' prediction for gold and Bitcoin in 2022. The renowned global investor joins many other leading analysts and investors that believe that Bitcoin will hit the 100,000 mark in 2022. Holmes believes that Bitcoin and Ethereum, the two leading cryptocurrencies, will have a great year in 2022. He also expects gold to hit $2,000 this year. He believes that these asset classes have made bigger moves in the past years and should have no problem doing the same in 2022.
Do you think gold then can breach $2,000 by the end of the year?
This year, yeah. I think with the DNA of volatility is 20%. It's a non-event to go up 20%. So 2 years ago, it went up 40%, which was a 2 sigma move. So a 1 standard deviation move is nothing. And at 60% of them having free cash flow, I can tell you right now, what would happen if there's 90 million ounces a year being produced and all of a sudden 10% of that is no longer going to be sold? Gold mining companies are putting it on their balance sheet the way Hive does with their crypto. I think that all of a sudden it'd be 2,000. It's 1 sigma move.
All right. Now, Bitcoin, $100,000. Everyone's talking about it. People were predicting that by the end of last year. It didn't happen. What's your forecast for this year? Can it still happen? Yeah,
for sure. I mean, it's a heck of a move, David. It far outperformed the majority of asset classes. The S&P 500, I think there's like maybe 20 stocks that outperform Bitcoin.
Well, yeah.
Ethereum outperformed Bitcoin. And that's really helped Hive blockchain because we mine Ethereum inexpensively with green energy and we hodl it. So when you get rising Ethereum from last year, it ended the year at 700, and this year runs over almost 4,000, it's a big move. So I think that Bitcoin and Ethereum trade much higher, but you have to remember the DNA of volatility of both of those. It's a non-event to go up 100% in a year or correct 50%.
For both predictions to be achieved, Holmes believes that mining companies and investors have to hold on to their assets to reduce the number of Bitcoin and gold in circulation. Do you agree with this? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Also considering dropping a like for this video and subscribing to the channel. Everything helps us grow, so we can keep bringing you these videos. Thanks for watching.